We're not interested at this time.
Great. Let's talk about that one for a second. So we talked a little bit in the workshop about this idea of creating urgency. And you can't create it. If a person isn't motivated at all, then there's no possible way to make them highly motivated. Now, what you can do is shine a light on things to see if it will motivate them. Again, we're not causing the motivation. The motivation has to come from the prospect. What we're doing is we're seeing if they're motivated. And if we can motivate them by shining a light on something that they might not know existed. Can we make something unsafe that they didn't know was unsafe? So by way of example, if we take a look at my brother who still sells pet products to veterinarians. Those are doctors. And one of the things he sells is a dental treat for dogs. Cleans their teeth and keeps their gums healthy. The product that the veterinarians are currently using is what's called a rawhide. It's something that the dogs chew. And the problem with rawhide is if you don't tend to the dog while they're chewing it, the dog could actually swallow the treat and they can actually choke and they can get in serious trouble. It could get, have to rush the dog to the vet. So you have to actually watch the dog eat the treat. And the veterinarians have this product in the veterinarians right now, in the vets, and it's doing the job. And they think it's fine. They don't know any different. It's doing the job. We give them rawhide. The dogs chew it and it's fine. So if you were to ask them, what's the problem? And they said they're not interested, it would be true because from their perspective, the rawhide's fine. But what my brother did is he asked a really smart question. He said, are you aware of the risks associated with rawhide with regards to choking? And the vet said, well, what do you mean? And then my brother proceeded to show the vet some independent research and videos about the risks of rawhide. And then once that was created for the vet, he now felt that his current product was potentially no longer safe, didn't want the risk, and was now open to other things that could get the job done, which was ultimately my brother's product, which gets the job done, but doesn't have the negative of the choking with the rawhide. It's actually a chewable treat that's gelatinous that just completely dissolves in the vet's mouth. But what he masterfully did was to not create, but to shine a light. And then the urgency, so to speak, and the doubt was then created by the vet. Very different, right? So we're not trying to convince someone of my thing. We're shining a light. The barbecue example that I gave in the class was the same thing. Hey, Josh, it looks like only half of your grill is working. Have you considered that you might have a propane leak? What do you mean? Well, if you have a propane leak, that could cause a flare-up, which could burn your face. Now, all of a sudden, I'm starting to tip a little bit more on the struggle meter, on the motivation meter. So unless we're finding that motivation, there's nothing to do except to get out very quickly because we don't want to waste time with people that aren't ready to buy right now, or if your sales cycle is in a quarter. What we want to do with those people that aren't motivated is to say something simple like, looks like you're making adequate progress right now, but sometimes things change over time. Would it be okay if from time to time, I sent you some great recipes on how to make steak, how to grow vegetables, how to make chicken? They're awesome videos. Sure. And then we put them in an automated track where they hear from us once a week with a interesting piece of content that makes them smarter, teaches them something, but in a way that actually makes them feel good and smile. And so when they're ready and when the motivation gets higher, you're top of mind. It's a very different approach than just checking in 4 months, because if they start to have a struggle beforehand, they'll start Googling. They probably won't even think of you. They probably won't even remember you. But when you're the one that's making them smarter and educating them about things they want to be smarter about their industry, about trends, about things other doctors are doing that they don't know about, because you have that perspective, not them, Their doctor is just their doctor. That doctor is just that doctor in that clinic. Salesperson has a unique perspective that they get to work with lots of doctors that are doing other things. And people always want to know what people like them are doing to be able to be more successful, because people always want to make progress. People always want to upgrade themselves. They always want to go from V2 to V3. So when someone says, I'm not interested, something earlier in the process is a little broken. All right. So if they say they're not interested, we might say something like this. That's not a problem. Most of the people that I speak with aren't interested when I call. I'm assuming, so that's the first thing I would say. I would diffuse it, not try to overcome it and try to get them interested. Let me ask you a question before I get off the phone. Is it that monetizing your phone conversations with patients isn't a priority, or is it that the timing's bad? So what I'm getting at is I'm reinforcing the fireball, the thing that's in it for them, to see if it's a priority at all or if the timing's bad. Because sometimes they have a bazillion things on their plate, and guess what? They don't want a bazillion one. Even though you think, as you said, it's a no-brainer, you're not the one buying it, and you're not a doctor, and you've never done the job of a doctor. So who are you to say that it's a no-brainer for them? You've not been in their world. This kind of brings us back to what I also said in the workshop, which is you got to get closer to their world. You got to interview the customers and understand a bit more about what they're bumping into. Because at the end of the day, you got to have empathy. And when you go with the intent to overcome the I'm not interested, it often pushes people away, because it could very well be that they have no motivation. They got 50,000 things on their plate. And you know what? They don't care about the extra $5,000 of revenue they're going to make from your thing, because it's going to be such a hassle to implement it. And I got to worry about it. And there's risks. And how's it going to work? Change is hard, man. Yeah. Nothing's a no-brainer, buddy. Nothing. I'd rather dance with the devil that I know than change. Change is very difficult. Unless you're buying a stick of gum. So I'm asking you to change your mindset on that.
Unless the pain of not changing is bigger. Right?
Of course, dude. It's very difficult to switch. I'm used to things the way they are. I'm comfortable.
And that's why you got to shine the light, so say, hey, this pain is bigger than you think it is.
Well, no, you don't get to decide that. The salesperson doesn't get to decide it. The prospect, in your case, the doctor does. You can shine a light on it and test to see if it's resonating. If it's not resonating and you have no motivation, if that meter is in the blue zone and not in the red zone, you need to get out quickly and go to the next person and put that person in the track. Where we get into trouble as salespeople is when we try to think we can actually move people faster than they're ready to go. Cannot be done.
So the goal is to find out who's ready to move now, and if they're not, then put them in something else.
Correct. And that's the art. And that's the art of sell. That's the art of selling. And you can usually do that in about 7 to 8 minutes. Where we get into trouble is when we never give up, where we think everything starts at no, and I got to get to 7 no's. Not the case.